I had to go down the bunny trail with this one today. I think many of you have been asking, we've been surmising, we've been thinking, sort of, kind of, maybe, but there's just too many things that don't add up. And that's why I do numerology. That's why I do the energy readings, because it doesn't lie. Those things we can count on. But today we're going to be talking about that guy with a badge. You know, there's a Chinese proverb that says, don't trust little badge with man, big ego, right? Maybe. I don't know. I just made that up. All right. So as we go forward, I want to say that I am not law enforcement. I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. I am a forensic tarot investigator, intuitive. That's a mouthful. I just basically dig deep. So here we go. But first of all, I do have a little update on that Nancy Guthrie case. And it's been reported that now the general consensus is that that night that Nancy, or day, we don't know. I still maintain that there's something going on with January 31st, but that's not the subject. When that time when she was abducted, it is said now that supposedly the internet service was disrupted. That a neighbor mentioned that their internet service was disrupted during that time and their Ring cameras didn't show anything. Now I'm going to tell you this. Some amateur can't figure this out. To take out internet service for not only Nancy, but a few surrounding that is planned, my darlings. That is a target. That's planned. And I submit to you, once again, this is much, much bigger. And I stand by that theory, I'm going to call it that, of that disturbing ideas. You can catch that video from a couple of days ago. But there's something much bigger than that. This is a massive targeting, and they're not going to come out and say that, because if they did, they would just start to have to name names. And I'm just going to be very, very frank with you. It is my opinion that, yes, sort of, kind of, maybe they'll come up with somebody someday that they can point the finger to. That will take the fall. Will it be that person that has masterminded it and so on and so forth? No, I don't believe so. Could be just like another case that the people are from Arizona that happened in Utah last year. I don't believe that either. But that's another story. So let's think about that. Let's think about that. Now, today we're going to be talking about Sheriff Nanos, and I am going to say right off the bat, I'm not accusing anything. I'm not accusing anyone. And no, I do not believe that he is a part of something that he wanted to hurt Nancy. But I do believe that he is a big part in this investigation. I do believe that he has a big role in this. Now, I did the numerology, and yeah, you know what? We just may have to visit the big book of Bull. I got my cards out. I want to go through this numerology really quickly for you, because I did his name. Now, a lot of times in numerology, if you don't have a birthday, and no, don't, I looked, and I don't want you to write the birthday in the comments because it doesn't matter. This is Pythagorean numerology based on name, and that's right now more important for me in numerology than his birthday. So we take his first name, it totals, and I mean, look at the letters, look at the number values, and each, for those of you who don't know, each, and this type of numerology, each letter of the alphabet is assigned a number up to 9, and then you start over again. His first name goes to a 4. Okay. His second name, Nanos, is a 9. Full name calculation is a number 4. He's got a lot of 4s. 4 is a structure authority. Now remember, this is the guy that started out at the sheriff's department, and then he went to the police department, and then he's back at the sheriff's department again. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to put an example of this out there. I'm not saying that he is. I'm just going to give you an example of someone who has a hero complex, who likes to be in front of the camera at first, but then when things get a little hard and mistakes start being made, you start pulling back and doing whatever you possibly can to remain in authority, as silly or as wonderful as it is, because as time goes on, they know that people are not happy and you haven't solved the case in a reasonable amount of time because it's all about them. That's kind of how it works. So what is today? Well, today is March 6th of 2026, and it is day too long of the investigation. Here we are. Now the number 4 meaning, and hang in here with me because there's some things here I think you need to see. This is associated with order and rules, institutions, enforcement, and structural leadership. You see, with Nanos, he decided that he wanted to, because he knew that there was a lot of attention to this case, and the moment that he told the media and other people that they couldn't sit there in front of Nancy's, then skippity-doo-dah. $250 fine, get out. Who's going to go back? And then some other things happened this past weekend. And it's like he doesn't want anybody there. And the tip line now is not inundated with as many calls. In my opinion, the ego part of this type of thing interferes with the greater good. Selflessness. The balanced is all about discipline and stability. But here's the shadow part of this. The uncontrolled part. Rigidity. Control. Inflexibility. And in the public sphere, thank you, Mercury, society, the public, large groups, and visibility, because listen, if this were solved today, he would be out in front. Say, oh, yes, the humility. It wasn't me. If it weren't for the help of the FBI. But yesterday we saw them going door to door, didn't we? And then yesterday, I didn't get to see it until later. There was an alarm that went off in Nancy's house. And somebody said, oh, well, a helicopter flew too low. Bull. I'm going to just say that belongs in the big book of bull. Did anybody else's alarms go off? I've never had an alarm that was that sensitive that when a helicopter dipped down over your property, that your alarm went off. Then if that's the case, then there is something wrong. Maybe they have it that sensitive. So if somebody walks around the house and has a body function, whoop-de-doo, the alarm goes off and then it reset because somebody's watching. Somebody's watching it. So I'm just going to say, I don't think it's a coincidence, and I don't think it's ironic that yesterday we talked about the energy flow in Arizona regarding Nancy. We have Tesla. We have the pyramids as an example. But there's a lot of energy that's coming out there and about the iron. And most of you saw the key move. It was pretty wild, wasn't it? That's not the only time I've ever seen it move. That house of Nancy's, I'm not kidding. You may see some other things start happening, and I do not believe it was coincidence that we're talking about all of this key move. If a key moves where I am located, let's just say 2,500 miles away from Nancy and we're connecting to that energy. Why? Because energy. It's like sunlight. I want you to think about as sunlight. But how can it be? How could you pick up her house energy, Zelda? Because it's like sunlight. The same sun that is shining on Nancy is shining on me, is shining on you. All over the world. I want you to think about that. Think about those rays of light. Think about the moon. Think about the eclipse. We're all affected worldwide, and energy as well. Energy does not have a barrier. It does not stop. It flows through. It finds a way, either over, under, around, or through. So yeah, we're talking about the energy of Nancy's house, the energy of this situation and the investigation, and this iron key. Why? Because we were talking about iron, and all of you saw, and it even made a little clang. You hear that? It even made a little clang. That it moved on its own. Here's a key pattern in his name. 4 plus 9 is a dynamic. It is authority interacting with the public sphere. This is, he eats, breathes, and lives this type of thing. How many shows do you think that he watches about cops and sheriffs? How many that? And plus he even has his own little desert law thing, whatever, right? Now I'm going to do Nancy. We're going to compare her name, okay? We're doing Nancy letter conversion, and her first name vibration is a 3. Her second name vibration is a 7. The full name calculation comes down to number 1. 3 meanings are all about associated with messages, information, expression, and storytelling. The mystery part of all this surrounding Nancy is a number 7. And that is, make it a number 7 there, that is associated with research. We're all trying to find her. Hidden information. She's hidden. She is hidden. Inquiry and investigation. I'm going to submit to you, my darlings, my opinion, and that is poor Nancy is hidden somewhere. Because whoever investigated her, if they know enough about the internet, if they know enough about what's going on, and you're not going to tell me that, you're not going to, oh, you're stretching. No. It doesn't happen that way. It's arranged. And I'm going to tell you that they probably 90%, 98% knew that Nancy had a pacemaker. They knew that they were going to have to hide it. They knew it. That's why there was no connectivity in that house. But Nancy's pacemaker is still going, and no, I do not believe that they would remove it. This is a message, and it says it right here. It is a message under number 3, messages. And then we have the nut jobs that are out with all of these ransom notes, storytelling, all of the nut jobs. You know what I mean. I'm getting sick of it just like you are. Because this is ridiculous. Some things and people who are responsible know that they're responsible. I'm just going to say that as well. So let's go. The catalyst. What does that? That's the bringing the two, the catalyst of Nanos and Nancy, associated with beginnings, triggers, initiating events, and starting the chain of events. Okay, so I know you're going to be asking me, but Zelda, what part does Nanos play in this? If I were a mastermind, I'm going to say it that way. If I were a mastermind, I would make sure that someone was in office that you could count on their emotions, their personality. You don't have to ask them anything. Let them be themselves. There's a track record. So you look for that type of thing. And then you can say, oh yeah, okay, we'll just wait. Because to me, it's not a coincidence. The testimonies, all of the testimonies that have happened, the congressional ones, the spikes in the internet searches, it happened in Tucson and it happened in Grand Junction. The little things around, the cup that was out, there's the alarm. It's testing. They're testing some things, some little symbology that has been, sent here and there. I'm not kidding. This is big, because what you have here, my darling, is a set of rules for one group of people and a set of rules for the rest of us that we have to obey. Those set of rules over here, that for this one, they think they are above the law. For the rest of us, we know that if we have a body function flowing in the wrong direction, that at any moment in time, someone can come in and they will indict a bologna sandwich, i.e., take a look at that guy who was stopped, who had this SWAT team breaking in his house. What in the absolute heck? I've never seen that before. You see, that is the pomp and circumstance. That is that coming through. We all know that. So the county Pima comes up to a number 3 in totality. Based on that looks like a B. It is a number 3 in totality based on the Pima name being figured out. Ironically enough, there's something here that I want to show you. County is a number 8. Sheriff is also a number 8. But then we have a master builder number here that is a number 44. I reduced that into an 8. We have the county that was a 26. But here's the rub. We look at the word department, and that also is a 44 reduced to a number 8. There's an institutional pattern here. Sheriff Department, 44 reduces to 8. The meaning of 44 is a master builder number, is associated with large systems, institutions, infrastructure, authority, long-term organizational frameworks. See where this is leading? It fits into someone's trajectory. It fits into their ego. It fits into wherever it is, in my opinion. Now we're going to do the address numerology for Nancy, because I wanted to compare this to the Sheriff's Department and to Nanos. And I've got 2 pieces sticking together here. There we are. The street number, we know that, 5820, is a number 15. We reduce it one more time, and that is a number 6. And the meaning of a number 6 is all about home, family, domestic life, protection, and responsibility. This one kind of got to me. Because that home, I believe Nancy and her husband bought that piece of property for $85,000 back in the day. And I believe they built the home. That's a nice home. So they put a lot of love and thought into that home. And you may think it's weird, but I like to connect my energy to my home. Sure, things break. Things, they wear out. But anytime I ever move into a place, I always say, I'm thankful. I always connect. Always touch the wood frame before I walk in. And I always say, I will take care of you if you will take care of me. And my darlings, I've got stories about that because there have been times that tornadoes have come and ripped through and unfortunately affected other people and neighbors right beside, and there's my house. Standing still, standing strong. I'm not saying that that is a guarantee for anyone, but I'm just saying, why not do that? Because it's an energy. Everything energy vibrates. If you had one of those little cameras, I forget the name of it right now, that you could sit and watch this pen, this table, this porcelain hand, the key, the cards, and my hand, you would see a particular rate of vibration. Energy vibrates, and I believe, there's a certain vibration that makes it solid, and then there's a certain vibration that makes it evaporate, that you can't see it. Could be that's why sometimes people see ghosts. All right, so here we are. The street name, Escalante. I don't know why I like saying that, but I do. It is a number 8. And if you hear stuff going on here, I've got a big storm happening now. And yes, the storm sirens are going off. It's okay. We won't be blown away. All right. So the number 8 is associated with authority, institutions, governance, power structures, and legal systems. This all in one way or another comes back down to Nancy. There's a pattern. The street number is a 6. The street number is an 8. The symbolic interaction between the two is a domestic life that interacts with institutional authority. This was not prophecy. This is all about some things that, in my opinion, are related. And there's a big circle of related. And I submit to you, within the next 2 years, keep watch. We're going to see more arrests especially in this nation regarding some things around that island guy. We're going to start seeing some bigger names come about. We're going to start seeing, I just don't even have to tell you about Jim Carrey. All right, so the overall number patterns, recurring numbers between Nanos and Nancy. 4, structure. 8, authority, institutional power. 44, the builder number, a large institutional system. 3 is communication. 7, investigation. And the 1 is the catalyst. What is the catalyst? The initiation of all of the events. So, my darling, simplification of the pattern comparison. Christopher Nanos is a 4-9. Nancy is a 3-7-1. We just talked about that. The Sheriff's Department master builder number is 44, but we will reduce it in this case. And the address is a 6-8. All of these numbers interact between each other. All of it does. But I have a question. When was the last time you saw him out at Nancy's? You see some deputies. If I were the sheriff, I personally, because you know what, you kind of start this and you got to end it. We know, according to the Big Book of Bull, that he said Nancy 2 times was missing January 31st. We also know that he went in, he checked. He didn't treat it like a burglary or a kidnapping. He treated it like a homicide, had the homicide squad go in. And then all of a sudden, he releases it back to the family within 24 hours. Then he comes out, my biggest question, he comes out and says, oh, I just want you to know. And it's because there were people, there were cries of the public opinion that said, hey, this is suspicious here. We want to hear what Tommaso and what Annie have to say. Why aren't we hearing anything? And it just became so much that he decided he was going to nip that in the bud. Andy, you know that reference. Come on. So nipping it in the bud, as in Barney Fife and Andy Mayberry, you know. He thought he was going to take the initiative and say, well, we have cleared all the family. And then he changed that statement. Here's the reality. It's my understanding, I'm not a lawyer, but it's my understanding that he cannot clear anyone. That is up to the prosecution's office. And until the prosecution or a judge says, stop, then he doesn't have to look. But why would you stop at this point? Because I'm not accusing anybody, but there are some sus stuff that is coming out 4 miles away from Nancy's house. I want to know, Sheriff, and so does everyone else. I want to know what in the absolute heck. Here we are. We're going to start off. I just think it's interesting. I've been doing a lot of little research on him over the past few days. And I noticed many of you feel that he's, done something. No, he hasn't done anything except bumble. And that's the reason why they wanted, whomever is behind this bigger picture, wanted him in office, wanted him to be in the position that he's in. Because I can guarantee the sheriff before him, this wouldn't have happened. And most likely would have been cooperating with the feds and most likely would have gotten a conclusion to this. Right now, I just have this idea of looking in the Pima County Sheriff's Department and seeing this dude scratching his head. It's time to take a closer look and answer the call. A childlike new beginning. That childlike new beginning means that there's going to be a fresh start coming. We're going to move you, hand. There's going to be a fresh start happening very, very soon. Remember, we are in a Mercury retrograde. Now, this energy is saying, look harder, but to also seek more knowledge. And that's exactly what all of us need to do. Instead of looking to say, who did it, we need to really, and that's how I learned as a forensic intuitive. You don't really look who did it. You look who benefits by it. Who benefits by this? Could there have been an offer of money from the bigger picture to, I don't know, someone that is close to Nancy to get information? Because they're not going to get it from, Nancy is not in a financial power to give up any type of money. It's not about money. This isn't about money. This is a message. That's in my opinion. Because, saying that, well, they don't make that much money. Okay, they fit in with a lot of other middle-class people. Maybe they're happy that way. Or maybe they're not. And it could be, my friends, that somebody along the way has offered a little bit of do-re-mi. And that's, you gotta always look who benefits, who is structured, who is in place. Now, does Nanos have a benefit? Oh, he gets the kudos. He gets the attention. He gets a hero complex, perhaps, sort of, maybe, kinda. That's my opinion. But if you're going to play a game, you want the cards stacked in your favor. No pun intended. That's him. That's Nancy. And that's not Nancy. That is Savannah, because she traveled. This is Nancy. And look at the 6. That is all about her numerology. So all pathways, and the funniest thing is that is a number 8, and that points to Nanos. Does he know? Would he even hear of something like this? No. Does someone in the bigger picture have any contact with him? No. Why should they? They can depend on him being him. So there's another message. If he hasn't gotten it already, there will be another message, and it will be extremely concerning, and it will be around Nancy, because there's the 3, 3, it's a 6, there's a 6, that's her, and the 7 was in there, but the 7 is all about a message. The message is coming from a male, and I'm going to tell you, I believe that it has a lot to do with the community. Whoever did this doesn't have anything to do with, they don't want anybody in the community. It's not any one of these gang related things. It's not cartel. It's not any of this. We have to start looking further, and we have to start thinking who benefits the most of hurting, maybe even perhaps certain family members, as a warning. Don't do that. But you see, the damage is done. And many people, oh my gosh, Savannah makes $8 million. Oh, poo. Who cares? $40 million, she's worth $40 million. Oh, poo. Who cares? There's some things in there that I'm sorry. Where is Annie and Tommaso? Where are they? Why don't they have a statement? This is a professional writer, remember? Why can't she come out and say, Mommy? Okay. I'm not criticizing. I know that this is hurtful. But I'm just saying, this is not at all like any kidnap or abduction case that I've ever seen or been involved in. There are constant updates, and it almost feels as though he got a little butt hurt, in my opinion, over a few little things. So he's just going to, okay, fine. You want to play that game? Then there won't be any media, and you won't report negatively about me. Because you know what? When he came out and cleared the family, it wasn't about him clearing the family. It was about him wanting to protect himself. Because I can bet you 10 to 1, somebody called him and said, oh, you need to do something about this. Too many people are blaming some of the family members. And look at Ashley Banfield. They said that they was looking at tomato. And so why? Because there's a one-upsmanship there. Can't stand it if somebody gets ahead. Can't stand it if somebody releases something. That's my opinion. But look at the way the cards lay. Look at the way the investigation has laid. There's something in that living room, and that comes to a 3 as well. And here's another 4. This is the big guy right here. He's got the money. They've got the money, that organization, because they don't want Savannah. This was her reward for an interview. That's my opinion. I don't have the fact, and I'm not accusing anyone. I'm just saying, put the pieces of that puzzle together. And this is the number 1 person that they had in charge of that. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox right now. I'll get off of it. I will. When you sit and think, forget about, oh, this one's getting money, this one's getting money, this one did it, this one did it. No. Sit and think about why. Because there's really no money to be had from Nancy. There really isn't. She's in trusts, all this other, this is a legal nightmare, quite frankly, because who's paying her bills now? She's got an empty house. Who is lamenting and crying over her? I know, right? That does sound, but it's very true. I've seen it. That 9 is a yes. That 9 is all about someone taking a very wealthy trip. And with the railroad beside it, it forecasts a very long journey. Even though we're going to hear some little tidbits here and there, and you may hear, oh, yeah, we've arrested him for the kidnapping of... That's when you've got to start looking beyond that person. Again, just like in Utah. Here we are, my darlings. The 2 of Clubs is definitely a partnership, but this is also around here sending a message that looks like a robbery. Now, this 6 of Clubs is all about a surprise. It's all about out of the blue. And I believe it's that message coming out of the blue. The tree is all about hopes, but I do believe that the tree is there because, look, there's the house. It's a family tree. And what happens when a tree is in the sun and you walk under the... Well, it's shade. So are things a little shady? In my opinion, yeah. And then we have this person who is the head of the family, who's a prominent person. Proximity is close to the rest of the cards and rest to Nanos. But having friends in which he feels that he can make a few phone calls to. I guess high places. What's that Garth Brooks song? Anger, visit, unexpected joy, and an officer. Well, I believe that Nanos is continuing to get visits or phone calls or messages from the higher ups. I believe that he will have some unexpected joy because he will be given the kudos of whatever, so he can solve this case. Because you see, the FBI is there for a reason. They don't have any egos. If you ever spoke to an FBI agent, it's like talking to a brick wall. Stoic, and they have to be that. They're not there to exchange numbers and ask to go to the Dollar Tree. They're there to do a job. It's not all about, do they look cute for being 71 years old? And it's about that officer. So we're going to hear something. And it's the consistency that people are asking and desiring. And people just feel that it's about money. But guess what? It is more about loss. Well, what's the loss, Zelda? Nancy. I know. You can come at me, but I'm just going to tell you, if you watched Ashley last night, she has 8 theories from 8 different retired or involved law enforcement, FBI agents, etc., etc. You know why that happens? Because ain't nobody knows. Because this was perhaps bungled to begin with. And what about those droplets in the front door? All of a sudden, they just disappear. And I submit to you, my friends, and I pinched in close this morning. Why has the front door mat remained? Why? It's one of the first things you take up. The good news is the people that did this, and they're the little fish, they're the worker bees, are getting very nervous, extremely nervous, because they know, well, it doesn't take a turn of the wheel of fortune to decide what their fate is going to be. They're trying to move away. I do believe Nancy was, in the beginning, moved a couple of times. Now, it shows that she's stagnant in one place. There is still a water reference here. Water, even though this is an air sign. Don't tell me, oh no, that's a sword. Yes, it is, but they're on water. This is a mountain. That's an earth sign for a sign of the earth. It's not an earth sign. It's a sign of earth, location-wise. But this is a water reference. This is a earth reference. It's not an earth sign. It's an earth reference. But look at the water here as well. Why are there water references? Her house is crying. Her house, there is something around her house. It's been missed or misplaced or not looked at. You cannot tell me that we, as a leading scientific community country, that we know what DNA, what knowledge it took to get the DNA from 11 mummies, including King Tut from 3,500 years ago in Egypt. You cannot tell me that there's so much confusion, dude. You cannot tell me that. Yes, I get angry because, yes, it shows here they know. And I'm going to also tell you 98% of the officers feel disheartened about this. And the average time that one of these officers stays in the department, 3 years max. That's a statistic. That's not me. I don't believe that he is hiding anything. I just believe it hadn't been looked at. It hasn't been thought of. It hasn't been, they've gone around and everybody's like, well, what if, is she buried in the yard? There would be very big signs of that happening. You can't hide that. But I will tell you, if you and I can sit here and think about this, I submit to you that I think that the fellow in the front, because that door, Nancy would have either had to come to the door, because that door, that's solid, and that is iron. So it repelled that, and I believe they went in through the back door. I believe something has happened, and they removed her. I believe they removed her. Now, what about the splatters? I don't know. That almost to me kind of looks like an afterthought, maybe. There should be signs of footprints in those. They can't be that. It's in the early wee hours of the morn. You can't tell me that they're standing there with a flashlight saying, oh, better dodge the drops. Don't step in those. Come on, let's use our noodle there. Person. Whew. I get like this, and I would get like this if Agent Ubligada was sitting in front of me, because it's getting to the point that it's ridiculous, because someone has held back people that have more knowledge than he could ever possibly think of having. All this DNA stuff, all this, you know, craziness. Oh, cluster DNA, cluster. Yeah, there's a card of frustration, and that's not coming from him. But this is all about, you see, we've got this Joker here. Hidden secrets, hidden things. This is a person who is involved with this. And why can't he tell that? Why can't anybody look a little further and say, look, it's not Savannah's fault. It's not anybody else's fault. But why? There's a benefit. There's a message. There's a reason. And then you start going down the list. Is it money? Is it a message? Is it land? Is it property? Is it travel? Is it love? Is it this? Is it that? Is it family? That's how you do it. Did you do it? I don't think so. Anyway, sorry, I had to take a breath here. This is a card of time and money. This is a card of lifetime security. And by the way, don't forget, Saturday night, tomorrow night, March 7th, I'll be live on my channel and True Oracle, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss it. Come. We're gonna talk about these things. Now, this is all about a new beginning. And look at this. A childlike new beginning. What does that childlike... Oh my, it's a big noise. Childlike new beginning. A fresh start. And I think that fresh start happened yesterday when the FBI was going door to door asking people about perhaps internet, perhaps anything else. I think they felt more structured. But this is a partnership as well. There's more people involved in this. He's not. I'm just going to tell you, in my opinion, he's just not. He's there for a reason, and that's because of they know him, his past. They know how he would react. They know that they can depend on him to not do anything. If you want to know the truth, that's my opinion. But this right here, my darlings, this is more than a gamble. This is an isolation. These people are hiding because the little fish are scared. Hang in there. I know many of you are getting tired. And I am too. I think I'm just more tired of the bumbling that happened in the first week, in the first 2 weeks. And now, because of the media leaving, it feels like it's cooling off. Thank God we have a lot of people that are there that should be thought of as journalists and media. Unfortunately, they're not considered that in many ways, but they should be. Selfless hours in the heat, in the weather, out there, dedicating themselves. That's the way it is. Thanks a lot, my darlings, for being here. I'll see you tomorrow night. Yeah. Have a good one.